Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here going to be doing a tutorial on how to do a cut crease using the My Little Pony palette from ColourPop Cosmetics. I used it to create this look today. It's a little bit more of a jewel tone cut crease. I had a lot of people asking questions about it in my last video that I did for Boxycharm, or it may not have been my very last video depending on when I put this up. But I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of how I did it. This is exactly what I used to create that eye look that day, and I just wanted to share it with you. And if you're into more tutorial videos like this, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below what kind of looks you're interested in seeing. And before we get into things, guys, I want to remind you to smash that subscribe button, become part of the Wolf Pack today, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, to start things off, I went ahead and did my eyebrows, and I did carve out just a little bit right here with some concealer just to help shape it up, and I can go through and do the rest of my face later. And I'm going to go ahead and start with my Smashbox Photo Finish Shadow Primer. This is good for 24-hour wear. It's really good whenever you're doing your eyeshadow to go ahead and use a primer as well. This is going to make sure that you get the best coverage from your eyeshadows, and also it'll prevent it from creasing later on. And it really doesn't take much of this, just a little bit on your finger, and you can kind of warm it up between your fingers and spread it on. And a little of this actually goes a long way. That was probably a little bit too much. And I'll make sure I get closer to the lash line also, because that way when I do my eyeliner later, I won't have to worry about running everywhere and making a mess. If you prefer to use concealer all over your lid, that works really good too. This is just what I prefer. But I am going to be using concealer. I'm going to be using my Tarte Shape Tape here in just a second. And the eyeshadow palette that we're going to be using today is the My Little Pony palette from ColourPop. And the eyeshadow palette that we're going to be using today is the My Little Pony palette from ColourPop. We got this in our Boxycharm boxes not too long ago. There was a different variation. There was like 5 different palettes you could get. I actually got a different one, but I used my charms to get this one for free, and honestly, I love it. It's mostly... And to start off our look, we're going to go into this as our transition shade. And I'm just going to be taking a fluffy blender brush. Now I haven't done my base or anything. I'm just concentrating on the eyes first. And normally I do my base always first and then do my eyeshadow last and then just put a little bit of powder underneath. But I'm trying to change it up, try a different couple of techniques, different ways of doing it. Comment down below, are you a eyeshadow person first and then your base? Or are you base first then your eyeshadow? Or are you just all over the place? And now you want to concentrate most of the color up here into your crease, because what we're doing is a cut crease. We're going to deepen up the crease, get our shape, and then we're going to cut it out with concealer here in a minute. This is just to make blending a lot easier here in just a second whenever we go into those deeper shades. Okay, now we're going to go into this shade, and I'm just going to use the same brush that I used for the transition shade. I'm just going to take my time deepening up the crease, building that color, making sure that everything is smoothed out really well. And we're going to go back into the crease and just blend this out. And this time I'm going to concentrate more to where the actual crease is and not blow out the color so much. Okay, now we're going to deepen that crease one more time, and this time we're going to switch over to a pencil brush. And I'm going to go into this deeper shade here, and we're going to coat the brush with that color and tap off the excess so that you don't get a lot of fallout. And we're just going to press it right into your crease. And if you want to kind of see where your natural crease is, if you've got hooded eyes like me, instead of looking like down into your mirror, look straight ahead, and you can kind of place it exactly where you want that shadow to be. Okay, and once you've got your outline for where you want the darkest shadow to be, then you can lean back and blend it out a little bit better. And while we're at it also, I want to have the outer corner of the eye be the darkest, so I'm going to go ahead and start placing this on the outer edge as well. Now I warn you, it is going to look kind of messy at first, but I promise you we're going to get there. You just have to trust the process. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and get messy. You know, you don't have to worry about getting this all over the edges here. You can kind of go down as far as you want. But now if you want a crisp line for, if you've already done your base and you want to get a crisp line for your eyeshadow, you can put down a piece of tape here. Alright, and now on to the next step, and this is where the cut crease comes in. We're going to be taking a concealer brush, or any kind of brush that you have. You want to make sure that it's flat and it has sort of a dome shape to the end of it. It makes it easier whenever you're making your cut crease shape. And I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape. Now, you don't have to use this specifically. You can use any kind of concealer that you have on hand. Just make sure that it's more of a creamier consistency. You don't want something like the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. That's a little bit more of a thicker consistency. That's really good for carving out your brows, but for something like this, it's a little bit harder to work with because you want it to be fluid but not liquid to give you that shape that you're looking for. It's easier to work with and manipulate. And you're just going to coat both sides of the brush, and looking down into your mirror. Okay, first, before I get ahead of myself, a good way to figure out where you want your crease to be and to make sure that it is natural, you can put your concealer down close to your eyelids and then look up. That's going to create a natural line for you to follow. And you're just going to follow that line, and I'm going to go ahead and continue it a little bit more. Yeah, see that guideline that I made? Okay, so I'm only going to go about 3/4 of the way in. There's different types of cut creases that you can do, but this is just a look that I did for that specific video. I only went in about 2/3 of the way. And you're just going to follow that line with your concealer. And I am going to go all the way into the inner corner also. Now, depending on the look that you're wanting to make, you can go as high as you want to make it more dramatic. I'm just making it a little bit more natural, and I'm just going to follow this line that I've created. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye. Some people like to go ahead and start packing on the color right away, but I like to go ahead and do the other eye first. That way it gives this eye a chance to get tacky. It makes the powder stick to it a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one, and I'll be right back. Alright, now for the fun part, we're going to be using our shimmer shades in this palette. I'm going to start off with this mint green color. I'm going to do that on the inner corner. And this palette is good. I didn't have to wet any of the brushes, and the concealer kind of does that for you. It helps give you that impact with your eyeshadow. And we're going to go ahead and press that in where we put that concealer, and it just sticks right to it. It does really, really well. Now I only went in about 1/3 of the way because I'm going to blend it into a different color. Okay, now still using that same brush, I'm going to go into this purple shimmer here, fully coat the brush with it, and I'm going to put that on the rest of the concealer. And we're just going to pack that on. And we're going to kind of overlap that first color that we put on. That way they blend into each other. Okay, now also once we have that, I'm going to take the shimmer shade and go beyond the concealer. That way we can blend into the outer corner as well. Where you place that concealer, you have to make sure that everything is blended just as smooth as possible. So we get a little bit messier here on the corner. Now you can play with shades. You don't have to use this palette specifically. Anything that you have on hand, any mattes, any shimmers that you want to use. Cutting the crease is just a really, really cool way to create some interesting looks. And even if you Say you use your concealer to brighten your eyes and to conceal any veins that you have on your eyelids. You know, the concealer kind of gives that eyeshadow more impact. This is the same thing. It just allows the color, the shimmers, to shine more true to their color. And now that we have that done, I'm going to go back into this deep shade here and kind of help blend out the outer corners. Okay, now the last step for the eyeshadow on the upper eyelid, and I don't normally do this, but I did do it that way just to add a little bit more dimension, more depth to my eyes. I'm going in with the darkest shade that we have here in the palette, and I'm going to be taking an angled brush, and I'm going to use this to go along the lash line. Just on the outer part. Now the shade, it's not super pigmented, so it's something that you can actually take your time and build up to get the coverage that you want. It's not going to be a full impact black shadow. If you like that, go ahead and do it. This I just like because it's easier to work with for beginners. And I'm also take that same shade onto another pencil brush, and I'm going to lightly place it at the outer corner of my eyes. And because the shade is it's not as pigmented, it is easy to blend, so I can just take my time and deepen the outer corner. It's not for a huge dramatic impact. It's not going to be that noticeable. It's just a little subtle change to give a little bit more depth and dimension. Okay, now there is a little bit of fallout from that, so that I'm going to brush away, which is glad that I didn't do my base. But I am going to do it now, so I will be right back to go ahead and finish the lower lash line. Okay, so I've got my base on, and I know it probably doesn't look like I did a whole lot of contouring. I just did it really lightly. With most of the effect being on the eyes, I didn't want to pull away too much from that. And the lip that I'm wearing is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is their lip gloss in the shade Candy Coral. Now this is actually full on pretty strong, so what I did, I put it on my lips and then I kind of dabbed it away because this actually stains my lips a little bit, but it gives it just enough of a nice wash of color that I think complements the eyeshadow pretty well. And I used my Smashbox X Velada collaboration highlighter, and this is the shade Petal Metal. This one I use all the time. I love a pink highlight, and I think this one, I absolutely love this color. I use it all the time. Oh, and I went ahead and did my eyeliner and mascara. So we're going to go back into the palette. We're going to do the bottom lash line now. Okay, now we're going to go back into that transition shade, and just like we did on the upper lid, we're going to build up that color, and we're just going to start on this to make sure that everything blends out really well. Now I'm taking the color a little bit farther down than I would normally. I've kind of liked it to where it was a little bit blown out more on the bottom lash line here lately. And I'm going a little bit farther down as I go out with my eyeshadow just because it helps connect the two, the top and the bottom. And we're going to be taking a flatter detail brush and going into the next shade. And this time we're going to keep it a little bit closer to the lash line. Now the darker that I go with colors to create that slanted look on the eye, I keep it darker on the outer corner and keep it light as it goes in. So most of the color I'm going to focus on the outer. And again, connecting it to the top. And finally going into that darkest berry shade. And we're going to take that on the very outermost corner. We're not even going to go in far at all. Okay, I'm going to do my mascara on the lower lash line really quick. Okay, now for the last steps of this look, I actually used two different shades as a highlighter. I'm going to use the lightest mint shade as an inner corner highlight, and I'm going to be going into this gold color. I'm going to very lightly put it on my brow bone and make that my brow bone highlight. It's kind of an unusual choice for a brow bone highlight, but when I used it, if you use it very, very lightly, it has a really, really pretty effect, and I kind of really liked it. Now this lightest mint shade, for some reason, it comes off kind of chunky on the brush, so you may want to wet it whenever you're using it, but it's not necessary. It worked just fine for me. And I want to be using the same brush to dip into the gold shade. Now, and I make sure you tap that off really, really well to get off any excess. And I don't know if anyone I don't know if anyone is weirded out by the fact that I keep using the same brush for a lot of the things that I do. I'll use the same brush for the different shades. It's just easier for me to do it that way, and I have a hard enough time keeping my brushes clean. So anything that I can do to make the process smoother and to get by with less tools being used, the better. A quick tip for those with hooded eyes: you don't want to bring any brow bone highlight down too far. It can actually bring the eye down and make that skin where it comes, this extra skin here, it can make it more apparent. It can bring it more attention to it, so you just want to keep it as close to your brows as you can. Alright, and here is the final look. We got our eyes done, got a little bit of lip color on, and got our highlight on. What do you guys think? Is this something that you'd like to wear? Now the method that I use for cutting the crease, you can use this with any color, any shimmers, any mattes. This is just more of a tutorial to kind of give you an idea how to use concealer to your advantage and to create a lot of interesting looks. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm looking forward to making more tutorials in the future because this is a lot of fun. I want to keep it more educational and how to use just the colors in this one particular palette. And if you liked what you saw, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below your favorite technique, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!